ladies and gentlemen. It might be a minute early, but we're going to go ahead and get this show on the road. Bear with me, I have a little more to say than I normally do, which is pretty much usually. One night, I have a habit, Dan can attest to this, I lay in bed and I think about music. And it happened again, and I was focusing at the time on a program that we started in the St. Louis Symphony Volunteer Association 33 years ago. And it was called Picture the Music. And in this program, if teachers wanted to participate, the symphony chose a piece of music, and the teachers played the music and had their children draw or paint to the music. Well, I thought I laid on that pillow, and guess who came to mind? Because he was the MC at one of the awards ceremonies, and I thought, oh my gosh, perfect. So I called Ron the next day, and he very graciously said, yeah, I'll come to Mason Point if you want to get that started. So, the gentleman that he is, he said, oh, and we knew who we wanted. He called Peter for us. Now, it doesn't get much better than this, I'll tell you. And tonight, I especially want to thank these two gentlemen. I know Peter has played so much, and the finale for Dan and I was this Sunday at the Symphony, which is one of the few remaining concerts before Powell Hall is closed for renovations. So at any rate, Ron called Peter. Peter said yes, and here we are tonight. As I thought about it, I thought, well, we can't call our program the same thing that the symphony uses. We can't call it Picture the Music, and we can't use the same music. So these two gentlemen came up with our name, and they selected the music. So tonight, I want to make it clear, because maybe I didn't make it clear in some announcements. This evening is to introduce us to what Illustrate the Music can be. We're not painting, we're not drawing. We're going to give you the opportunity to do that on the 31st of May at 2 o'clock, if you choose to, and I hope you will. Now, a little bit about these two gentlemen. Ron Clem. Oh, absolutely. Ron began his career serving as program director and then operations manager for the former Classic 99, what I know as KFUO FM radio, before he retired in 2013. He remains a champion for the arts in St. Louis and has assisted in many organizations. He was the inaugural voice of the St. Louis Symphony's live radio broadcasts and concert previews. A singer with the Bach Society Chorus since 1990, he will be the host of a new podcast called Bach Talk. Now, Peter's been here twice before, so you all know him already. What an outstanding musician. And I can't think of anyone kinder than somebody who will come here to Mason Point for the third time, as you are doing tonight.
You all are delighted.
So, Peter is Associate Professor of Music and Artist in Residence at Maryville University, and I won't go any further on his very extensive bio. So, we are in for such a treat tonight. I invite you to sit back, listen, and think about what we're going to hear. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Vi. Thank you, everybody. How is everybody? We're doing good? Great. I want to just take a quick moment to tell you about music and my life. Hang on there, Peter, I'll get to you. I am not a musician by profession. I love music. I've been involved in music my whole life. And yes, I sing in the Bach Society, but I'm a broadcaster. Now, one day back in high school, when I had the opportunity, an incredible opportunity, to join a group of gentlemen at that time who were doing play-by-play for and doing broadcasting of basketball games and football games and even ice hockey games, I got a chance to do that. That was a thrill for me. I got to college and I was a music major because I loved music. And what do you know? About my junior year, I had to make a choice because choir rehearsal and baseball practice were at the same time. Well, I chose to go into broadcasting and have had a marvelous life doing that. But the thing about it was I was able to connect the music and the broadcasting together. And to have a lifetime of presenting music has been my greatest joy. Because great music takes you somewhere. We have music in our life everywhere. You might have had some in, I don't know, the elevator or you know, in the last few minutes. You didn't even notice it was there. Music is there, and it's supposed to do something for you. And great music will take you from one place to another. It transports you, right? That's what music is about. It doesn't always succeed. It may just give you the message that, oh, it's too loud or whatever. But if it's great music, it will indeed bring you to a different place. We come to this place based on various life events. We've had various experiences. And maybe a piece of music will remind you of something that happened yesterday or last year or 50 years ago. That's what music does. It can bring you to that place. It can also paint a scene. Music can, if you close your eyes, sometimes you can see something happening in that music. And that's what we're going to do a little bit more tonight. You need to open your mind. If you give it a chance, I promise you, it's incredibly rewarding. But even listening to music takes some effort. And don't be afraid to make that effort and to put something into it. That's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to just try to take one baby step more into listening and understanding music. Well, we've already heard a little bit about our special guest tonight. So let me ask him to come up here. He is the Associate Professor of Music at Maryville. He is also the pianist for the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. And I'm told a pretty nice guy, Dr. Peter Henderson, right? Good to see you, my friend. You teach and you perform. Those are two different skills. Tell me what you like about both of them or how you bring those together.
So Ron, it was really enthralling to hear about your life and how things have evolved for you across the years. For me, the core of my life experience is listening. And I came to music not as a performer wishing to become a virtuoso pianist. I mean, I loved to play piano and to take lessons growing up, but I was always a little bit insecure about my abilities as a performer, and I felt I should probably do something else for a living, but I just couldn't get away from the piano. It had its hooks in me. But growing up, I would go to the local library, and you all remember, of course my students don't remember, long playing records. So at the Spokane Valley Library, we were allowed to take out 40 long playing records at a time, and we could have them for 2 weeks. And when I was about 12 years old, I started checking out 40 records every 2 weeks, and I would methodically listen to each of them twice in 2 weeks. So I was listening to music after school for about 6 or 7 hours a day. I hadn't discovered radio yet. I'm sorry about that. But at any rate, I've been listening like a fiend since then. And so the reason I like performance is because it's almost the fiercest act of listening there is. Because you have to curate the sounds that you're producing in real time. But I also love then sharing things that I have so enjoyed coming across in this music with audience members, trying to make the images in the music, if you will, more vivid for you, the audience. So that's a sharing thing. And I love listening to my students, really truly understanding their journey, what it is that they hope to do in music or in life. And so I guess you could say, Ron, that that's what's in common between teaching and performing, is the listening act.
Terrific. I love it. That's perfect. Have a seat here because we're going to start to do some listening of your playing. Because of the title of the initiative, Illustrate the Music, we looked for music that would evoke images, ideas, scenes, thoughts, those kinds of things that come from the music. All music will do this, but what we found was if we could do a little bit of music that is especially in that area, we'd be in good shape. And so we landed on the composer Claude Debussy. Now, Claude Debussy lived from the 1860s to the 1918, I believe it was. That is, he lived from the American Civil War into World War I. This is the era, this is the time period we're talking about. So think about what life was like back then. This guy was, he probably would have been a friend of mine because he was always late for class. He was always naughty. He was a real naughty stinker. A womanizer, really, and not a very nice person. But oh, the music that he brought to us. And so we're going to start with a little piece called an arabesque, and Peter's going to play that for us. This, I can't remember when this is. This is early, Debussy.
Quite early, yeah. So it's a piece which he was developing in the late 1880s. And at this time, he was influenced by Wagner and some Russian composers. So his music wasn't yet quite the revolutionary stuff that he developed in the early 20th century. But he's moving towards rounder shapes and taking the clarity out of the structure that was so associated with classical form. Mm-hmm. And that's really where he began to enter into what some would call impressionism in music, leaving aside the vocabulary of tradition and creating new shapes. Debussy, of course, hated the word impressionism as a label, but nevertheless, it fits pretty well. But this isn't quite impressionistic yet.
Right. But it leaves an impression, as we're about to see. This is the Arabesque, number 1, by Claude Debussy. Did you hear some images in that music? Who heard rainbows? Who heard, did you?
I heard raindrops. I wrote down raindrops.
Raindrops. You heard a storm too? Yes. What did you hear? Not yet?
Raindrops falling in puddles,
Yeah?
and then the wind came out, and then ended with some.
Wow. What a mind. I love it. Yes, ma'am.
I heard a babbling stream.
Oh, I did too.
A babbling stream, yes.
Anyone over
Oh,
here?
I've got one more. I've got one more. I also heard a bee flitting around to the flowers and landing on one and then moving away and flitting away.
Wow, what a great group this is. Why did I have to come here? You got this figured out. Yes, ma'am.
How about a sunrise?
Oh, yes. Sunrise. Anybody else? Anything? Waterfall. Waterfall, yeah, I heard a waterfall too. All right, we're going to move on to another piece that I'm not going to tell you the name of it because I want you to hear it first, and then after that, Peter and I will talk about it a little bit, and then we'll see if you heard some of the images that WC put in this particular piece. This is part of a larger set of pieces. I couldn't say the French name anyway. So why don't we go ahead and do... Now this time, take out your cards and your pencils and go ahead and write down a word, any word, an adjective perhaps, any description or a phrase, maybe a scene, maybe an object, anything that you hear as Peter plays it. I would suggest that you maybe close your eyes, unless you had too much starch at dinner, and then you'll just fall asleep. But close your eyes and just imagine as Peter plays. Now, if you are, you have a seat there, Peter, if you want. If you are a classical aficionado and know Debussy's music and know the name of that piece, don't say it, okay? Boy, I heard a lot of writing going on. Let's start here and tell me what you wrote down. Go ahead and shout it out if you've got something here.
Church bells.
Church bells. Church bells. By the way, that's a bingo. What else did you hear? Church bells. Who else heard church bells? Church bells over here. Church bells. Do I have one? Going. Church bells it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. What else?
Funeral.
A grandfather clock. Interesting. Of the chimes of the clock. Yes. You heard the clock too. Who else heard the chimes of a clock? Okay, good. Good. Anything else? Yes?
I heard a quiet night, and then a storm coming in.
Yes.
A storm coming in. As the storm moved out, then it got quieter, but you could hear the thunder.
We won't even have to tell the story of this piece. Okay? How about over here? Anyone? Anyone want to share what they wrote down? Over here. Yes.
I felt a great struggle,
Ooh.
and I felt climbing, getting higher.
Yeah.
The church bells, and then a conflict between, I put heaven and hell, I don't know. And I was feeling very tired and weary, and at the end I found peace.
Coming down from this point of conflict that you heard, coming down from that, and then peace. Oh, that's very interesting. Did you have something?
Well, in the very beginning, it was like I could picture children going with the music. It was just in the beginning, those.
Yeah. And then some of that reprise later in the piece. Okay, in this area, anyone? Who else wants to add to what we heard?
Well, at the beginning I heard sunrise over the ocean and then gathering clouds, and then it was building.
Good, good, excellent. Yes, ma'am.
I got a story. I mean, I couldn't do it. One word.
It's okay.
Construction of a building. They were first building the foundation. And there was hammering going on. And then it collapsed. And then they were pondering what to do. How are they going to fix this? And at the end, it was sad. They couldn't fix it.
Isn't it great what great music can do in the mind? Isn't this fascinating? I'm loving this. How about back here? Anyone? Anyone want to share anything? Yes?
I thought it was like walking through a forest,
Okay.
and you come up on different scenes.
Anyone else think that? Yes, good?
I saw a kaleidoscope of color.
Yeah, well,
And-
lots of color.
And lots of color, and it was building up stronger and stronger, and then it got less and less and less. Then it went up again.
Anything here?
Yeah, I grew up on Lake Erie, and it reminded me of, you know, a beautiful day. And my next door neighbor came over and said, "Come down the beach." He found a body in the water. It must have been loaded. It was huge. And that's the drama part of it. And we called the police.
Yeah, well, that'd be a good idea. We should call John.
I saw a curtain rising.
Oh, wow.
Revealing a group of boys that were marching in formation, proceeding more and more quietly until they fell exhausted on the ground.
Isn't that interesting? I think all of these are absolutely fascinating. Do you want, yes, what else?
Well, I saw the ground be very quiet in Italy, and all of a sudden the rumble started, and then Vesuvius started erupting.
Uh-oh.
And I saw all the lights and the hot lava and the red lava coming down, and then it eventually slowed down, and for many, many years, it was just quiet and hidden.
Isn't that interesting? Yes. So many stories, but it's just so, I'm just so excited. I'm almost moved to tears how exciting this is for you to see all of these things in there. Now, would you like to know what Debussy heard in this music?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, Peter's going to tell you. But I'll tell you the name of the piece is The Engulfed Cathedral, or the Sunken Cathedral. Now, before we go on, church bells wins, or clock chimes, either way, because those octaves, we heard the, go ahead and show it to us, Peter. Listen to that.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Now, there was a, you should tell this story, you know it, right? The legend of East?
To some extent, but I think you have it in hand, Ron. So there is a legend that there is a town called East, which was on the coast of Brittany, just under sea level. And they had a dike system to keep out the water. But through the misbehavior of a princess, they were cursed, and the waters engulfed the entire town, including the cathedral in the town. But the legend is that just off the coast, on a clear morning, one can see the cathedral, and then there's an apparition in which the cathedral rises out of the waters. And you can even hear its organ and the chanting of its priests.
Oh, no, you don't get away with it that way. We've got to hear the organ tones. Now, if you were near Peter's keyboard here, you saw his fingers, he's playing like 8 notes at a time. That's the organ. That's evoking the organ. Listen to this, watch this. Someone over here was talking about color. And the cool thing about Debussy, he wrote this for piano. But so many people have orchestrated it and added all this color.
Yes. Well, I actually am not familiar with any orchestrations, but Debussy was someone who invited performers to really create colors. He, for example, never indicated pedaling. He wants you to think for yourself.
Piano pedals, you mean?
Piano pedaling. So how I use these 2 pedals. He wanted me, as the performer, as the interpreter, to be a collaborator with him. Whereas Ravel said, his contemporary Ravel said, performers are slaves.
Well, you certainly are not, Peter.
Sorry, but, oh shoot.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
No problem. Well, that was terrific, and we thank you for playing that. And now we're going to try one other piece. And this one, I want you to listen very carefully and use your papers and your cards and your pencils and do the same thing. Only this time, I want you to do what some folks have already done, and maybe write a story. It's okay if you just have a word or a phrase or a scene or anything, but try to connect them a little bit. Let your mind go and listen to this piece by Claude Debussy, and I promise you, that most of you will have heard it before. And the name of the piece is? And it means? And it means? What was that? Did you notice what he was just playing? It was Beethoven's Moonlight. Right, it means it's all about the moonlight. So a lot can happen at night, right? Some good things, some bad. So let's start here, and I'll go around again, and let's see what you thought of. Surely you thought of the moonlight, right? And what else happened at night? Anyone in this area?
I see a ballerina dancing.
Oh, sure. Sure. Anything else?
I don't think that I wrote down what you're looking for.
Oh, it's okay.
First thing I wrote down was...
Can I just say something? I'm not looking for anything. What I'm looking for is how music affects you and what it does to you and for you, because we hear it here, but we experience it in our whole body, in our heart and our soul. So whatever happens is fine. That's what you need to know. So you can share or not.
Well, here's what I wrote for the first piece. Excellent musician, playing a piano, giving its all. A pianist who needs a bigger piano. and this one I wrote, are the treble notes, the treble notes sound like they're starting to go out of tune, but I'm not sure. And I was looking at somebody else to see who also could tell. I kept looking at, are you hearing that?
You're too analytical about these things. No, that's fine. That's fine. Music does all sorts of different things for all of us. What else? Who else has something you want to add to it? Yes, ma'am.
I found the water.
You felt water, right? So it's moonlight and water. Yeah. Okay. What else?
Butterflies.
Butterflies. Yes.
Rippling tide.
The rippling tide. I love it.
Beautiful girl.
Oh, a beautiful girl. Does this girl have flaxen hair? That's an inside joke. What did you say?
Swaying trees.
Swaying trees. Very good. How about back here? Yes?
I felt
I'm sorry.
sunrise, the sun's coming up, not going down.
Isn't that interesting? Yes, you thought that too. Anything back here?
I did both.
Oh, John loves to talk.
Baby birds
Oh,
waking in the morning,
yeah.
and they're where the sun is rising and becoming brighter and warmer, and they become more comfortable in their nests, and they squirm, and they're very happy.
Isn't that fascinating? I love it. What else over here? Anyone? Yes.
The stars gradually come out, and then the creatures who come out at night come out. So moths and flying things, all the animals, and they scurry all around and get busy. And then as the sun starts rising again, they all go back to sleep.
Very good. Very good. I don't want to miss you. Anything over there? Okay. Anything over here?
Yeah, I agree with the sunrise over the ocean and the ebbing of the tides. And then one place it was like the waves hit the shore or they hit a wall or something, and then they went back out. And then sunset, the stars coming out too far, yeah.
Very good, very good. Yes?
Walking on the seashore, and it got, maybe it was getting brighter, that the sun was coming up, but then it sounded like it was cloudy, and the sun was gone, and you continued to walk.
What great imaginations, yeah. That is fantastic. Well, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to ask Peter to play it again. And to play it, and now you've heard some of the things that other people are thinking, and maybe you have new thoughts, but this is such a great piece. And this is one of the pieces that we're going to illustrate later on this month. And Vi will tell you more about that. So let's listen again to this piece and see what it sounds like. Unless you have somewhere you have to go, Peter.
May I read a poem before we? Okay, so there is a poem by one of Debussy's favorite poets, Paul Verlaine, who was a symbolist poet, and Debussy actually would have preferred to ally himself with the symbolists rather than the term impressionism. But I think he'll always be considered an impressionist. At any rate, this poem, Moonlight, here's a translation, and it's actually the poem that gave its title to this piece. Your soul is a favored landscape for maskers and bergamaskers enticingly to roam, dancing and playing the lute, almost sad beneath their fanciful disguises, all the while singing in the minor mode of victorious love and a life of good fortune. They sometimes seem to doubt their happiness, and their singing mingles with the moonlight. The still moonlight, sad and beautiful, which brings dreams to the birds in the trees, and to the fountains sobs of ecstasy, tall, slender fountains among the marble statues. Of course, in symbolism, we have all these sort of disjointed images. They're meant to create an aggregate impression.
I thought you were going to do it in French. No, we couldn't. Let's hear Claire de Lune again. We will sleep well tonight. Vi's going to finish the evening and tell you what's going on. But hopefully by now, your fears have been allayed. And you've heard that all of us hear music differently, hear different things in the music. And that's what this is all about, illustrate the music. And Vi's going to talk about that. This isn't about me, but I got to tell you one more experience, just to cement this concept. I had one of the greatest experiences of my life this past weekend when the Bach Society of St. Louis performed Bach's monumental masterpiece, The Passion According to St. Matthew. This is a depiction of the greatest story ever told, of Christ's last meal with his friends, his disciples, with all the events that led up to and the events of the crucifixion and death of Jesus. The story itself is so incredibly powerful. And if you read it in the Gospel of Matthew, it cuts to the quick. But when you hear it as portrayed in the music of one of the greatest masters that ever lived, Johann Sebastian Bach, suddenly it becomes something that is absolutely out of this world. And to be able to be a part of it and to share that with people like you and with an audience like you, what an incredible thrill. That's what music does. It brings you from here to another place. And that's what we want with Illustrate the Music. Vi, it's all yours. What a thrill to be here. Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Peter the Great, Peter Henderson.
I can't say thank you enough so much. It was beautiful. I'm going to put my head on the pillow tonight and go to sleep in a different way. We just have a small token for each of you. Oh, wait a minute here. I'll hand that one to, there you go. Thank you, they're the same. And remind everyone, and it's the one you said you liked. I hope you really meant that. And
inspiration right here.
This was our introduction, and what a wonderful way to be introduced. On May 31st, a Tuesday at 2 p.m., we will have our program where we will listen to the music that has been recorded and be able to paint and draw some of the things that came to our head tonight. So again, I hope you'll come to that. I know we all enjoyed this program, and I can't thank you both enough. And then after that, we'll see. We're working on a few things, but no secrets yet, to be revealed yet. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Peter has had a really big time, a big weekend with the symphony, and Ron and Isla are about to leave. Am I going to have my dates right? Soon, on a nice trip out west, and to celebrate their 5-0 wedding anniversary. Yeah. Congratulations. So thank you. I hope you have a wonderful time, and I hope you fall asleep tonight.
Thanks so much.